Good morning and welcome. It's a overcast day here in the Bay Area, California, 8 a.m. in Chile. We hope it's sunny wherever you are and that you are enjoying the future and that you are future proofed. And we just want to say thank you to the entire community. We have a full house today coming in from the Axelar community. So, woo, Axelar community is in the house. Shizzle, welcome. Also, want to say thank you to the Cross Chain Coalition team members, organizers, the Axelar organizers who have pulled this event together, and as well, of course, the Cross-Chain Coalition community. And this is our exciting, every Tuesday, we do an AMA with the best projects in the cross-chain ecosystem, all right? The future is not the blockchain, the future is the cross-chain. And if you are a cross-chain executive, cross-chain dev, this is the event that you will be able to, we go deep and we go technical. Okay, we're not here to talk about token price. We're not here to talk about fluff. But by the way, remember, Axelar just went token on 27, so get in there. We're here to talk about the technology. We're here to talk about the opportunities, and we are so excited to have the Axelar team with us here today. I just want to say thank you and welcome. All right, so Axelar team, you guys good to go? Sergey, are you here? Are you rocking and
Hey,
rolling?
I'm here. Hey guys,
All
great to
right,
be here.
sweet. Dude, thank you so much for coming. And I hope it's the weather is nice where you are today.
Weather is pretty good. It's always good where I am, so it's
Yeah,
fine.
that's right. It is always sunshine. All right, cool. So today we are super excited to jump in and just get going to talk about everything that we want to hit on our agenda for our chat today, Future Proof and Axelar. So what we're going to do is, as usual, we'll ask for an introduction. Everybody knows me. My name is Tarek. I've been doing these things since 2013. I'm old. I'm over the hump, but I'm here still banging away in crypto. So just to see all the cool new stuff, it keeps me young. I'm going to, of course, ask for introductions to Sergey, Axelar, and then we'll talk a little bit about interoperability solutions. We're going to talk about the projects building on Axelar, and I think that's going to be really key if you're here listening in today. If you are reading the transcript on the blog or you are listening on YouTube, or the podcast, learning about the folks that are building on Axelar, what this thing is doing, I think will be very awesome and what's coming next. So get your alpha notes, alpha pens ready. We're going to be writing up some alpha as we go. So Sergey, welcome aboard and let's kick this off. Man, who are you and how did you guys get this thing off the ground?
Awesome. Yeah, who am I? Let's see. Great question. So my background technical, worked in distributed systems, software-defined networking, did grad school at MIT doing cryptography. Um, Spent a bit of time as a faculty as well, University of Waterloo, and then took a leave to work in blockchains full time. I helped to design and take Algorand to the market with the team out of Boston with my co-founder Jurgis. And then after that, we just saw the problem of cross-chain come up over and over, and realized we're going to need robust, secure solutions to finally solve the problem and help us transition to the chain agnostic world. So that's what we've been working on for the last almost 2 years now. The network, has gone live already, done quite a lot of traffic, and continue to work with a lot of developers. So yeah, excited to dive deeper.
Yeah, but you guys didn't just come out of nowhere, right? I mean, you guys were working on Algorand before, right? I mean, you guys were some of the
Yep.
brains behind essentially Algorand, which was a major success in the blockchain space in the post Ethereum phase. So I want to say congratulations. That chain continues to grow well. I'm assuming that you guys just had a lot of deep expertise in what would make a successful protocol work, and you brought that to Axelar. Is that it, or you guys were inspired by something new when you saw the cross-chain activity? Like, what was it that was like, hey, this is how we know how to do this really well?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely experience at Algorand has helped, right? I think I've been working on secure systems and cryptography and networks kind of all my life in one shape and form, and I think when we started to think about Axelar, we thought about like what is a solution that makes sense, from an engineer perspective. What is a solution that can scale? What is a solution that can remain robust and like
Yep.
and more fundamentally, like, what are the properties that you need for cross-chain communication? And I think
Yep.
traditionally, people mostly talked about how to connect, A to B, what I call,
Yep.
right? Like how does chain X talk
Yeah.
to chain Y? But cross-chain communication is sort of way beyond that, right? You need the
Right.
routing protocols, you need kind of translation layers, you need the APIs and services around it to actually deliver on this vision of a chain agnostic future. And so kind of looking holistically at the whole stack is what we're trying to think about, beyond just what is a pairwise protocol needs to look like.
That's right. And I mean, Axelar brings a unique perspective. When we think about Axelar architecture and design, how would you say that differentiates itself from, other, arbitrary messaging passing systems that we might see in this space?
Yeah. I mean, look, you have protocols like IBC and Cosmos, right, which is
Yeah.
a kind of a pairwise protocol, but has pretty strong security. And then
Yeah.
outside of it, different ecosystems, primarily, before Axelar were connected through centralized or federated multi-sigs, right? So you
Yep.
have
Yep.
like 3 out of 5, 5 out of 9, whatever
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
threshold is. It's usually appointed by the protocol developers, and that's where your security comes from, right? And kind of first and foremost, kind of Axelar is built on proof of stake security, right? So it is a
Mm-hmm.
network, it is a blockchain
Mm-hmm.
on its own,
Mm-hmm.
with a purpose designed to connect other chains, right? So it's runs
Yep.
based on a Tendermint consensus. It's an open
Yep.
validator set. Anybody can join, anybody can
Yep.
send transactions, anybody can relay transactions. So you have
Yep.
very strong safety and liveness properties at the core sort of network layer, which no other solution can provide. And then beyond that, it's important to note, sort of Axelar is not a pairwise bridge, but it's really a
Yeah.
many-to-many communication protocol, right? So
Mm-hmm.
any new chain that's interconnected through the stack can
Mm-hmm.
automatically connect with everything else that's been connected. So you have very strong compounding effects, right? Where,
Cool.
right now it's like 24 chains, they can all talk to one another. You get the
Mm-hmm.
same representation of assets,
Okay,
you
whoa,
get the
whoa,
same.
whoa, 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 slow, slow, whoa, whoa, whoa. I gotta, okay, all right. Woo. Oh my goodness. All right.
All right.
Okay, all right. Now listen, I didn't go to MIT, so I don't know all this crazy stuff. Let's make some chewables here. When you say that all the chains can talk to each other, I think that's a big topic. Like I feel like that itself is a PhD. Could you give us a little bit of, you said something special where you like say, hey, if any chain that connects to Axelar can talk to the other chains, that sounds magical. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So kind of traditionally, right, when people think about bridging, they think about, how does one chain talk to another chain, right? How does Cosmos chain talk to Ethereum? And then you have a protocol for that. Okay, great. Now you figure that out, then you think about, oh, how does Ethereum talk to, Avalanche chain? Okay,
Right,
maybe there's another protocol for that. Okay,
right.
great. So now you have those two connections. But then you ask yourself, okay, and how does, Avalanche supposed to talk to Cosmos now? Is
Yep,
that another protocol, right?
yep,
Or are you going to go through Ethereum and pay the gas fees on Ethereum, right?
right.
Or how would that even look like?
Yep,
And often you end up with these pairwise connections, right? So A talking to B, B talking to C, and then you figure out how does A talk to C, and so on and so forth, right? So you end up with a lot of fragmentation as a result, right?
yeah,
So liquidity is fragmented, paths are fragmented, so you have 100 representations of the same asset, and they're
yeah.
all path dependent, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
That's
if you
right.
go from A to B and then B to C, you end up with a different asset than if you will go to from A to C directly,
Yeah.
right? And then people are getting confused. And so this is really, not scalable, right? Because if you live in a world with thousands of chains, pairwise connections, end up blowing up the connectivity in a quadratic way, right?
Okay.
So
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you saying that IVC might have some problems, sir? Is that
well,
what you're
no,
saying, sir?
IBC as a protocol can connect A to B, right? But I'm saying
Yeah.
it's not enough to
Got
deliver
it.
cross-chain
That's right.
communication.
That's
So
right. That's right.
you still need kind of communication hubs in some sense,
Yes.
right? That can
Yes.
connect one to many. And I think Cosmos
Yes.
Hub, tried to do some of this. I think
Yes.
Osmosis, in a sense, is a connectivity hub for
Yes.
routing, right? That many
Yes.
chains can connect to. And the same thing, kind of, at Axelar, where we delivered sort of a hub that can connect many chains, and so you
Mm-hmm.
have then efficient routing and message delivery across them. So in the same way as in the traditional world, you have
Mm-hmm.
kind of major airport hubs, right? That
Yes.
that know how to
Yes.
kind of route people or deliver people from one destination to many other destinations, and then you
Mm-hmm.
often end up going through these hubs. In the
Mm-hmm.
same way in a blockchain space, where if you have
Mm-hmm.
lots of networks, you're going to need these kind of hubs of connectivity that can be a lot more efficient than just
Mm-hmm.
kind of a pairwise connections from A to B.
Copy that. So to reflect, should we then say, when we think of Axelar, we should think of Axelar as a hub to connect these other chains, wherever they may be, whatever the other chain may be. Axelar is a specific hub, and what makes Axelar different as a hub is that you don't have to have fragmentation of USDC or USDT. You can have one representation of that particular token denom, but you can then use it across all the other chains through Axelar. Is that a good way to think it through?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good way to think it through. There are other things like general message passing and so on and so forth that we deliver on the network, but
Okay,
we
whoa,
can
whoa,
talk
whoa,
about
whoa,
those.
whoa, whoa. I know. It's like, all right, I know. But what else you got there in your little box of goodies? Okay, okay, so again, we're trying to break things down for basic, so, this information is accessible to folks. So I need your help here. When you say general message passing, and then you say the hubs, and you say, hey, it's different from general message passing, what should we think of? Like, what does that mean when we say general message passing? Because I think that's also very important for folks to understand.
Yeah, so let me take a step back and kind of give you
Yep.
an analogy, right? So kind of a
Yep.
traditionally, when we think about cross-chain, we think about moving assets, right?
Yep.
So taking
Yep.
USDC, moving it from one chain to another. Um,
Yep.
it's a process that I call where we turn humans into routers, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Where
Right.
you have to go and you say, oh, I want to go, from this chain to this chain. Let me find some bridge in the middle. Let me, specify my destination address,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
from there, I need to figure out how do I pay gas fee on the destination chain? How do I go
Yep.
to the next chain? Oh, maybe
Yep.
there's another bridge that I have to be sent. Oh,
Okay.
wait,
It
that
hurts. It
transaction
hurts. It
failed.
hurts. It hurts.
It's
I feel the
painful.
pain. I feel the pain. Stop talking. Oh, that's painful. Okay.
Awesome. So it hurts. Great.
Yes, very
So
much. Go
so
ahead.
the question is, how do we, eliminate this, right? And effectively define user actions, right, as just a sequence of instructions, right, or a program that can be executed across multiple chains without user having to do each and every single action manually.
Okay.
Okay. And so
Mhm.
this is the concept what I call as kind of a general message passing, that instead of moving assets in a human fashion, you can move state or you can move programs, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
general message can be anything. It can be
Right.
a sequence of user instructions. It can be a program. It can be state of a program. It can be an asset. So you can define it any way you want. But then you can say, okay, how do I deliver kind of superior one-click experience for the users? And that ultimately ends up coming up, you ultimately have to come up with this sequence of instructions, and you have to send it as a message from one chain to
Mhm.
another to be
Mhm.
executed, where the user doesn't have to do that routing functionality manually, step by step, right? So that's really the concept of general message passing that
Mhm.
we're working through with a lot of developers, so that you can have chain agnostic experiences without thinking about how do I interact with these 5 different chains if my transaction needs to be executed across them.
So should I reflect? So you said something about essentially managing the routes. So we don't want the humans to have to worry about how to find the route or the optimal route for this message, this program, this state. Is it that you're saying that when folks use Axelar, that routing to where the message should go is handled by the Axelar protocol? And because that is handled by Axelar, you can have thousands of chains. Let's let a million chains bloom. You can trust that Axelar will find the optimum route for your program. Is that how we should think about it?
Yep, exactly. It will find the route. It will help you translate the message, right,
Mm-hmm.
from one blockchain to another if it needs to be.
Yep.
It will help
Yep.
you execute it on the destination chain, so you don't have to ever think about getting gas on the
Well,
destination
how do
chain.
you, whoa, slow down. That's big now. How do you do that? Okay. So we were talking to some other folks. Layer Zero said, hey, when we have a destination chain, we'll pay for the gas for you. You don't even have to worry about it. How does Axelar tackle that problem of, God damn it, I don't got gas on Tarek chain, but I need to send money over there. I need to execute a program. How does Axelar handle this?
Yeah, so essentially, above the network, we have a set of relayers, right? And these relayers can take gas from a user on the source chain in one transaction, and
Hmm.
then use that to convert to pay on gas on any intermediate chains, on Axelar, and on destination chain. So the user doesn't have to do that, right? Um, Essentially, it's the
So,
model. It's the
so the
model that the
relayer takes source chain token and swaps it for destination chain gas, or pays gas and then gets their payment in source chain token. Is the relayer should do that? Is that how we should think about it?
That's the way to think about it. Yeah, you
Okay,
you
good,
you
good.
take the native, you pay like on Axelar for process, and then you pay on
Yeah,
the destination chain for process, and you
copy.
get a refund back if there's anything left.
Got it. And how do the relayers price essentially the transmission and the gas fees for that message?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to every relayer's implementation. Relaying is completely permissionless on Axelar,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
that's what delivers you kind of very strong liveness properties.
Hmm.
So, we run one set of relayers now, but anybody can run them.
Hmm.
And, it's a simple price and call, right? Where you
Right.
say my transaction takes, 200 K gas. I need to
Hmm.
execute it on this destination chain, and
Hmm.
you can look at the price of two tokens and figure out what the user needs to pay on the source chain, right? So it's not
Copy
it's
that.
it's not a complicated kind of a math. It's basic pricing between two tokens.
And for the relayers, right now you said you're running some relayers. It's going to be permissionless. One of the problems we see
It
with
is
IBC,
permissionless.
it is permissionless, right?
Yep.
So one of the problems we see with IBC is, getting relaying. Like, the other day I was talking to one protocol and I said, "How you guys do relaying?" They're like, "Well, we call up these folks, we pay them some money, and they relay for us." And I'm like, "Wow, you actually?" It's like they said it's like Google Cloud for relaying. I was like, "That's impressive." But with Axelar, you don't seem to have that problem because the relayers are incentivized. Is that the difference between Axelar relaying and IBC relaying?
Yeah. So I think the key difference is that relaying on Axelar is decoupled from network validation. Okay.
Got it.
So what that means is that you have the network that does the validation, and that's where you get
Mm-hmm.
all the safety from. But relaying is like a service on top of it that anybody
Mm-hmm.
can run, and
Mm-hmm.
anybody can say, if you pay to my service, I'm going to relay for you. And that
Mm-hmm.
service can take, a fee or whatever percent of the transfer, whatever they wish to relay on Axelar, relay on destination chain. So that's where, yeah, the relaying is sort of decoupled from the core validation protocol, and that
Copy that.
allows us to instantiate these kind of free markets from day one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, okay, great. So I'm going to make a quick switch. We're digging deep into Axelar internals, and I think a lot of this, of course, is state of the art, right? Like having a fee market for relayers that's decoupled from validation. There's not a lot of chains doing it. So you guys are really at the frontier of building that fee market, and it's pretty exciting. So I encourage everybody listening, please jump on Axelar, become a relayer, and try it out. Now I want to switch into talking about projects building, because I know we could spend another hour just going back into internals. Let's talk a little bit about, hey, who's using this magnificent new validator relayer cross-chain communication network? Talk about some of the projects that are building on Axon, taking advantage of this architecture. Any ones that you guys are proud of that we should take a look at and really see how we could either imitate or be inspired to start on?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one I'll mention is probably Osmosis, right? So,
Yep.
we provide this connectivity across the VM chains for the Osmosis DEX within
Mm-hmm.
Cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the beautiful thing that they have done, the guys really think about how do you make UX, which is as simple as of, centralized kind of a Web2 platforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what they've done is on their front end, they integrated our kind of core SDK and logic that
Mm-hmm.
allows users to deposit and withdraw funds from directly from like Ethereum or even like Coinbase or Binance or any dumb wallet
Mm-hmm.
without ever having to touch Ethereum or touch Axelar
Right.
or any of the intermediate network, right? So
Right.
you could go to their front end, you can say, I want to deposit USDC, give me a deposit
Mm-hmm.
address.
Mm-hmm.
Osmosis will call the Axelar network, get the deposit address. Then
Yep.
you can go to your Binance, Coinbase account,
Mm-hmm.
withdraw directly to this deposit address, and it will arrive, in your Osmosis DEX.
Osmosis.
That's it.
So, okay, all right. So let's just, I think again, you drop a bomb there. So let's diffuse it. You have just railed into osmosis from fiat. Is that what you're telling me? You're like, dude, we have the only fiat rail straight into osmosis.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
Okay, hold on. Let's slow that down. Let's take a deep breath. Straighten up. Let me just, yeah, we just got to relax. Just getting the goosebumps. You have created possibly the first direct fiat rails into a Cosmos SDK chain. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what we're telling you.
Okay. All right. Everybody here listening, you heard what he said. We have the first straight fiat rail right into a Cosmos SDK chain. And it just works. It works. I think that is amazing. And now that is again permissionless, and anybody can use Axelar's SDK to do this, right? Not just osmosis, right? Like
Exactly. Yeah.
anybody else can. So if you are here and you want to build a CrossFit app, go to Axelar now and build on it, right? This is awesome. Uh, okay, so so great. What kind of traction are you seeing from this magic?
Yeah. So we launched the network in February earlier this year,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah, yeah.
since then we've done over 1.3 billion in the kind of cross-chain
Whoa,
asset
whoa, whoa, whoa,
movement.
whoa, slow down again. It's just, you're going really fast. Gotta slow it down. I gotta digest. What was the number again that you said you did in volume? I just,
We did
uh,
1.3 billion.
what is, okay, that's 1,300, comma 000, commas. Did I get that right? 1.3 billion in volume from what you guys have done here.
Yeah. Do you want the flowing point precision as well?
I appreciate you taking a bat, but be gentle. Just be gentle. All right. Congratulations. That is amazing work, and still a first, right? Like, again, you guys have done this in less than a year, right? Which, what has taken many other folks years to get accomplished. You guys have done very well. All right. Are there are there any other projects you want to mention, because that's hot, and we could talk a lot about it, but I want to make sure if there's anything else you want to cover in that section, as yet. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple other exciting projects that I'm excited about would be, Squid and Prime.
Yep.
Squid, very simply, is building kind of a liquidity router,
Yep.
which can be instantiated from any application
Okay. Whoa,
to.
whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Again. Liquidity router. It's like inside baseball. We got the liquidity router working from the SDK over the IBC to the. Okay, wait. Let's get back. Liquidity router. What is that?
Very, very simply, right? You want to swap A for B
Yes.
from, any chains in your imagination.
Yes.
How do you do this with one click without thinking about which DEX it needs to go to,
Right.
how to do all the swap and everything else, right?
Right.
So yeah, it could go through osmosis, right? It could
Yep.
go through Uniswap, but you don't
Yep.
want to think about it, right? You want to
Right.
say, I want to swap ETH for Osmo, one
Yep.
click on my front end,
Yep.
done. Okay.
Got it.
And
Got
so
it.
that involves kind of this, what we call as a routing liquidity, or at least
Mm-hmm.
understanding, to which DEX to go to perform
Yep.
these types of swaps, right? So this
Yes.
is what we call as a kind of liquidity router.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now Squid is saying, hey, there are all these routes that you have. And now you need someone to make sense of them for you and to optimize them so that they're either the fastest or lowest, optimized accordingly. Squid makes that easy. So you don't have to think about it. You just press a button and the magic happens. You go from ETH to Osmo. And there you go. If you need to go from ETH to Kava, ETH to Akash, ETH to anything else, Umi, whatever, it just happens. So that's awesome. Okay, so you had another one.
Yeah, another one is Prime Protocol. They're building a kind of a cross-chain Prime brokerage, right? And the basic idea is that you want to take loans from one asset and denominate it in another asset, right? Across
Mm,
chains without having
mm,
to think again, which chain do they
mm.
come
Okay,
from?
whoa,
You
whoa,
know,
whoa, whoa, slow down. Ooh, okay, okay, hey. All right, you MIT people. Okay, I'm good. You want to have a loan and then you want to denominate it? Help me out here. You were thinking, tell me more about this concept. You have a loan and you want to, what
yeah.
do you want to do with
So
it? Mhm.
yeah, let's say you have ETH, right, as the asset,
Yes,
and
yes.
for simplicity, you want to take a stable coin loan against this ETH, right?
Copy that. Yep.
But this stable coin that you want, maybe you actually want to take it on a different chain because you want to use an
Ah,
application there,
yeah,
right?
you're right. All right, I got a farm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got a
yeah,
farm,
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you do this again with one click?
Hmm.
Very simply with the
Hmm.
capital efficient way, right?
Hmm.
And so yeah, you can do that, right? I think that's what these guys are doing, and very simple UX. They just launched their test network. You can
Very
play
cool.
with.
Yep.
And yeah, I think like that's the beauty of it, right? Like you
Yes.
directly connect assets with applications without
Yes.
having to think about where the applications live and where the
Yes.
assets live. And
Perfect.
so like these are examples of these applications that are really pioneering, I think, this future.
This thing is awesome. All right, we're nearly out of time. What's next for the future of interoperability? What's next for Axelar?
Yeah, I mean, scale, I would say that's one thing. We want to be able to connect everybody, right,
Whoa,
and
whoa,
provide
whoa.
that.
1.3 billion wasn't enough for you? You're getting greedy? What's up here, lad? I mean, what? I mean, next you're going to tell me you're doing 10 billion? Is that the case here?
I mean, I think we're still early, right? I think, look, I think we are. I mean, it's excited to build these protocols and have millions of
Yes,
dollars of liquidity flow through them the next day. It's
yes,
scary at the
yes,
same time
yes.
because this is
Yep,
complicated technology and you have to be
yep,
kind of really thoughtful. But
yep.
look, like we need to get to a world that's chain agnostic, okay,
Correct.
and
Hmm.
that requires being able to frictionlessly connect any chain that wants to connect. There's still more work to do that. It
Hmm.
requires these interesting, sophisticated routed protocols, and it requires a layer above the network that what I think of as like application specific protocols, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
if you think about it, we have protocols for sending messages on the internet, right, or for
Right,
sending videos on the internet, or
right.
for browsing the web. Those are
Hmm.
all what I call application specific protocols, right?
Hmm.
And with Axelar, we're effectively creating the rails, right, and we're
Yep,
creating these roads and kind of air traffic control system. You
yep,
still need to serve these cargo ships and airplanes that would deliver specific payloads, right?
yes.
And yeah, make it even simpler to build these cross-chain applications, which
Right.
I think in this first iteration it's still going to be a little bit more work than building
Yeah,
on a single chain.
yep.
But the goal to get to is that it's just as simple to build, or even simpler to build a cross-chain native application
Hmm.
than to build an application on a single chain and then have to go and like replicate it
Correct.
everywhere else.
Correct. Correct. You have to replicate everywhere else. You are absolutely right. And we want to make it easier for folks in the cross-chain ecosystem to, because that makes people do more, right? If you're saying, Tarek, we now allow folks to, deploy once across many different chains. People will build more new things. They will come up with new ideas. They will use the resources of the rails to create more complex and richer experiences. And I think we are all lucky to have Axelar pushing forward on that. So I would say super congrats. Anything else you want? Any other alpha you want to leave us with before we sign up? I know we're over time, but we always have to ask for a little bit of alpha. Any alpha you want to share?
A little bit of alpha.
Please.
Last week we announced pretty interesting partnership with Circle. So
Yeah.
encouraged to follow that thread. I think that would be quite interesting.
Very, very cool. Yes, and we would be looking forward to it as well. Congrats on the Circle launch. And I think you guys also have a program where you're inviting folks who want to build an Axelar to get grants and come and build. Yes?
Yep. We have
Yes?
kind of an incubator we're running with Lone Hash Ventures, and there's a
Nice.
grants program associated with it. So depending
Yep.
on the stage of the project, you may either qualify for the grant or for the
Mhm.
accelerator program.
Mhm.
So yeah, come apply super early, lots to build, super exciting.
All right, so cross-chain communication community, you heard it. Come on, get paid to build, and let's build a bigger and richer cross-chain world. Sergey, I know we didn't get to cover everything. There's so much more we could talk about. Thank you. So this means we have to invite you again when you guys are now at 10 billion in volume. And I can add zeros.
I'm busy tomorrow.
Tomorrow, exactly. Wait, tomorrow, we're good. Again, congratulations on building a secure system. We know this stuff is hard. This is not easy and it's not trivial. You guys have done great work. Please keep it up for the cross-chain community. And we look forward to seeing more great news and hearing about more new applications and teams launching, and of course, more Axelar growth. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for having me.